Is India at odds with NATO and the European Union? Recent statements and diplomatic shifts suggest growing tension between India and key Western powers. But why is this happening now? Is India's neutral stance in global conflicts triggering backlash? And how does this impact India's position on the world stage, especially for UPSC S2 aspirants tracking international relations? Let's simplify the geopolitics. India's strategic autonomy, a double-edged sword. India has consistently followed a policy of strategic autonomy, meaning it refuses to align fully with any global power bloc. From the non-aligned movement to today's multi-alignment approach, India chooses partners based on interests, not ideology. But this neutrality is being tested, especially in the wake of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. While the West expected India to side with NATO and condemn Russia, India took a more neutral tone, prioritizing diplomacy and national interest. EU's criticism, energy deals, and defense. The European Union has expressed concern over India's continued trade with Russia, particularly in crude oil imports. Despite Western sanctions, India has ramped up its Russian energy imports, often at discounted prices. This has caused frustration in Brussels as they see India benefiting economically while the West bears the costs of sanctions. Additionally, India's defense cooperation with Russia remains strong, further widening the gap with NATO allies. NATO's worry Indo-Pacific and global power shifts. NATO is increasingly involved in Indo-Pacific security, trying to counter China's rise. India, while supportive of a free and open Indo-Pacific, is not a formal ally of NATO. This creates uncertainty. India's balancing act, cooperating with the US via Quad while still engaging with Russia and Iran, makes NATO uneasy. They see India as a pivotal power but not a predictable one. Diplomatic flashpoints, G20, UN, and beyond. At forums like the G20 and the UN, India has refused to echo Western narratives on Ukraine. Instead, it emphasizes peace, dialogue, and global South representation. India's presidency of the G20 showcased this clearly. European diplomats have quietly expressed frustration that India's leadership didn't isolate Russia more forcefully. Some even hint that India is undermining the West's moral authority on human rights and international law. India's global rise, a threat to Western hegemony? India is no longer just a regional power, it's rising fast as a global influencer. With one of the world's fastest-growing economies and a massive young population, India commands attention. But with power comes pressure. Western alliances worry that India's rise could reshape international institutions, reduce Western dominance, and tilt global power toward the global South. Balancing act between the West and the East. India's foreign policy is walking a tightrope. On the one hand, it maintains strong ties with the US, France, and Germany. On the other, it continues defense deals with Russia and energy cooperation with Iran. This dual approach frustrates both sides, but for India, it's about preserving sovereignty and flexibility. It refuses to be a pawn in a bipolar world. What's next? India is likely to continue its independent stance, but expect increasing pressure from the West through trade, diplomacy, and global forums. Whether this leads to confrontation or cooperation depends on how India manages its alliances and asserts its identity as a civilizational power, not a client state. What do you think? Is NATO overstepping, or is India risking its global partnerships? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow UPSC aspirants. Until next time, stay informed and stay sharp with Hot Seat.